Hello, and welcome to Wine, Whiskey, and Words. I'm Daniel.
I'm Brad.
If you've listened before, we want to welcome you back. We appreciate you joining us again. If you are new, each episode we try something to drink. It's often wine or whiskey. Sometimes we try something different, but usually wine or whiskey. Then we talk about something interesting that's happened since the last episode, and that can go all over the place. Lately, I think we've been doing a couple different things.
Yes.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
varies. Brad has added a section that we do somewhere in there about "Am I the asshole?"
Yeah. Well, it's funny things on Reddit.
Yes, funny things on Reddit, which is often "Am I the asshole?" And then we talk
Well,
about
to be fair, you're always the asshole.
yeah, that answer is usually yes. And then we talk about the topic we chose from the previous episode, and we do our best to prep and research. Sometimes we nail it, sometimes less so, but we do try. We try to actually know what we're talking about to some degree. But our main aim really is just to have fun and share our lives with our listeners and have a nice discussion about what we're drinking. So with that said, let's begun. Brad or begin.
Begun.
Words. I don't do words.
English is hard.
Yeah. So man, ice is gonna be kicking down my door. I keep speaking the poor English.
Well, ice or ISIS.
Maybe both.
Yeah.
Could be a meeting of the minds. But Brad, what'd you bring us?
All right. Well, so I visited a place we went to a few months back called Gaspar's, and they have an amazing selection of uh, all types of different bourbons, whiskeys, and whatnot. A lot of them are available to try. I did not taste test these, but he made recommendations based on what I did try and what I told him that I liked. One of them being the that old elk with the Amburana staves
Oh yeah, I
on
remember
the
that.
back. So that's why I got this bottle, the Lasso Motel Amburana Cask Finish Casks de Brazil. So it's a straight Kentucky bourbon whiskey finished in Amburana casks, and so on the back it reads, the aromatic nature of this bourbon whiskey is attributed to maturing in Brazilian oak casks. Accents of vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove offer a sweet and savory experience. Perfect for a long stay at Lasso Motel. Now, the Lasso Motel brand, they're they said, why name it that? Well, the name Lasso Motel isn't just another label on a whiskey bottle. It's a tribute, a story, and a gateway to an era that was wild, untamed, and full of character. So that's where it's kind of wanting to go with that. The other bottle that I got is from Barrell Bourbon. This is part of their Cask Finish Series, Tale of Two Islands. It's a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys. This one, it's a 118 proof. This one is 100 proof, so this one's a little bit lighter. Um, Not done with that. So this one, so it's a Jamaican rum matured in. It's a Jamaican rum matured in peated Islay single malt barrels, and then those empty casks have been used to finish a blend of straight bourbons. So should get a little bit of sweetness. So now the components, the the bourbons in here, well the I should say the whiskeys. Um, Indiana 5, 6, and 9 years old, and Maryland 5 and 6 years old. Now the mash bill is 73% corn, 23% rye, and the remainder is malted barley.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, when I visited Kentucky some years back and I went to a place that allowed you to make your own blend, they would not let me mix. I'm like, you kept the rye with the rye, the corn with the corn.
Oh, that's weird.
Uh, they just said, screw it and let's do it. So this is in the bigger glasses. Uh, I was recommended to let it kind of just give it time to open up. So I'm going to try this one first, the Amburana.
So I got a question about the
Yeah.
second one. So they've basically barrel aged the whiskey in rum barrels. Is
Right, right,
okay.
right. So
Okay.
there's a lot of that going on. It give it some different flavors, and they've been doing that with beer
Yeah,
for
yeah, I've had
years.
those.
Um, they do it with they'll do the wine aged in bourbon,
Okay.
which
I don't, I'm not a fan of that.
I have friends who really say the reason why they're doing it is that they're doing it with cracked wine. And I had one recently, and it was interesting at first, and then it had like a unusual flavor on the back end.
I don't mind some of the beers that I've had that were bourbon barrel aged.
Yeah,
Those tend to turn out nicely, but
unless it's at the very end of the keg.
oh, I can imagine that'd be
Holy
rough.
crap! I had that once over at Whole Foods, and it was almost like you were drinking straight bourbon.
Well, I mean, but no, I like I said, I'm not a big fan of the wine aged in the barrels like that. So right off the bat, I really like the nose on this. It's very soft. There's almost like a lot of the time
It's
when
like
you,
a toffee.
yeah, a lot of the time when you smell a whiskey, like you get a little burn right off the bat. You get none of that with this.
You got I got a little bit of the burn when I drank it.
So I definitely get lots of vanilla,
Yeah,
maybe some clove.
yeah, and that the clove is really present when you take that sip. Little bit of banana.
Yeah, on the taste, you get a banana and there's some other fruit flavor that I'm getting on my tongue. It's hard to define. I do get a hint of maybe nutmeg.
That is one of the tasting notes.
Okay, yeah, like I mean, this is interesting.
Yeah.
It's very smooth. I don't get a lot of burn. I
Oh,
you
I
may
got
you
burned.
may have inhaled it a little bit.
Yeah. I tend to snort my bourbon.
Yeah, but no, I don't dislike this. I
I might do it with like a drop of water.
It's very different from the bourbons I typically drink, so I'm having a hard time. And I guess it's probably this Amburana. What is Amburana? Did we ever figure that out?
We did at that point in time.
But we don't remember.
No.
It's probably like some. It's probably the kind of oak, if I had to guess.
I no.
Okay.
Because the one we had Amburana staves. So
Yes, but this says
it's a plant.
maturing in Brazilian oak casks. So
Right.
the oak casks
So
from Brazil.
all right, hold on. Amburana is a genus of legume. And the,
So it's like a
so
peanut.
so yeah.
Well, well. This tastes nothing like peanuts, by the way.
No, but it's not a peanut. It's
Well, like
a legume.
peanuts
It's a
are
bean.
legumes.
Yeah, yeah.
What?
There's lots of things that are legumes that don't taste like peanuts.
I'm just saying that's like the most famous of the legumes because everybody's like, oh, it's a nut. No, it's not. It's just called a peanut.
You're weird.
All right. So yeah, that one is good. I'm gonna try this other one now. This is the Barrel Bourbon. Well, Barrel with two L's. Cask Finish Series, Tale of Two Islands. Oh, this is like a first edition bottle. All right. So this is 5 years to age, so that would make it a young bourbon, right? This is like it's not a because doesn't it have to be aged for longer if it's like officially bourbon?
Um,
Isn't it usually 10 years?
there's other ones that are aged for
Oh,
less.
okay.
I mean, you'll have them that are aged for much longer, but
So this one is actually bottled and distilled. Well, no, bottled. This one's actually distilled elsewhere and bottled in Louisville, and the Amburana is distilled in Kentucky and bottled in Dallas, Texas.
so this one on the palate is a bit sweeter.
On the nose, it is not.
No, on the nose, I didn't get much of anything on the nose.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's because the other one is kind of taken away from
Now
it.
I'm getting
I get hints of things, but nothing. It's not overly intense.
no. It's much more that toffee vanilla,
Yeah, but
but
very,
it's, but it's,
very
not
gentle.
much. Yeah. It's interestingly enough, when I nose this one and then go back to this one, I get more of like a cotton candy almost.
This rum barrel aged one has a lot of that spiced like it come you get a lot of spice out of it. It is not it definitely has a sweeter finish to me at least. It's
This is sweet off the bat.
yeah, but this one finishes sweeter, I think. It definitely has more burn to it as you drink it, but I don't dislike it. It's just if I'm in the mood for a spicy bourbon, this is more what I'm going to go for. I
But
do think I like
between the two, I'm more likely to drink this one.
this one, really.
Yeah.
Hmm. I feel like this one probably needs a little bit of a cut, like a couple drops of water or something, just to kind of
I think both of them could.
yeah. Good choices, Brad.
Thank you.
Really good
I'm sure.
choices.
Well, it's been a while since we had.
Yeah, we've been on a little wine kick.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Now that it's summertime, I want to bring some white wines and some
I was
some
going.
rosés and
I was going to bring some white wines, but being that I had to be somewhere else immediately prior to this, I didn't want to bring
yeah.
and then chill it. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the good calls. I think we've got plenty to sip on here for the rest of the episode and then some.
yes.
So I guess on to something interesting. I think you went first last time, so I'll dive in.
Go for it.
Um, so I have started back in therapy. Not for anything specific, just kind of general, like, I don't know, getting old. It's not a midlife crisis, but like it's just kind of one of those like where it's like, stuff's starting to bother me. Like I don't want to be. I don't know. There was a movie that came out not too long ago with Tom Hanks in it, and he's just this like angry old man, and he starts helping a neighbor. It's actually a really good movie, but like he just walks around just talking about how people are idiots all the time, and I
Are
started. I
you
started.
describing me?
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I kept like feeling that like God, you idiots, and I still feel it. But so I was like, you know what? I should probably talk to somebody rather than like let this build up to where I just hate the world and start wearing red hats and things. I decided to just get ahead of it, so I'm going to therapy. So that's nice. I just started, so I don't really have any like major changes. I am planning a parade for my birthday with tanks.
Daniel.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, I'm done. I'm done. Oh, actually, I am on a winning streak in pool, which is wonderful. It's amazing. So,
Really?
yeah, that's exciting. All right, Brad, go ahead.
Oh goodness. I'm planning on going on a cruise. Um, I'm procrastinating booking it. I just want to make sure my finances are set first.
He's trying to make sure I can go.
Um, but I think I'm gonna book it probably by Monday. Just because I want to, I originally wanted it. I was thinking September, and then the more I thought about it, I'm like, I'd like to go earlier. So I'm thinking August.
I think after the first of the year, we should do like you know, a listeners cruise.
There, that would be like 3 people.
Okay, well they're all invited.
Right.
Like my own family doesn't even listen. They're like, yeah, I listened to you enough, Daniel. We've had enough.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
I keep my computer's here, so I'm like looking here. The camera's over there.
Oh right.
So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Um, we get several people who watch. I've got several members from Cooper's Hawk
Yeah.
that watch, and then it's a growing audience.
Yeah, I think I need to get cards because I tell people about it, but it's
Yeah.
not as like smooth in the delivery. I have given the information to people
Yeah.
and had them like make a note of it, but I don't know if they were just playing,
Yeah.
Sudoku.
I mean, I had the cards made for myself only because I'm in front of so many people.
Yeah, I'm not. I sit in my office. Actually, this office.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the office slash gym slash studio for everything.
So, my mother's birthday is coming up soon.
Oh yeah.
July 1st.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes.
She's like what, like 42?
Exactly.
That is the answer. So
Exactly.
if asked, that is the answer.
Exactly. What else is going on? I'm gonna be going to Miami a few weeks after her birthday. It's gonna be the first anniversary of my aunt's passing.
Okay.
So we're unveiling the tombstone, and then the next thing after that is celebrating your daughter's 21st birthday.
Yeah, August 13th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be good times.
Now that I'm remembering it.
Yeah, you had the day off, and you're like, why do I have that day
Yeah.
off? It's just a
So
random day.
normally when I'm requesting days off, I'll mark it with the request in the app for work, and I'm sitting over here right before we recorded the last episode, and I'm going. Normally, I put notes, but I don't remember. I requested this day in August off, and then Daniel's daughter Mia says, "Is it a Wednesday?" And then I go, "Yeah." She goes, "It's my birthday." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay."
Another interesting thing that happened. Brad messaged me the other night and says, "Yeah, I was working, and one of the regulars asked me, where's your hubby?" And
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, yeah. She goes, "Where's your hubby?" And I'm like, I'm like, I don't have a hubby. I'm like, "Oh, you probably mean Daniel."
Yeah, when Brad's working and I'm there visiting and he doesn't give me the attention I feel I deserve, I just start telling stories to my neighbors.
Yes,
It's a lot of fun. This is why Brad often tells me to go away.
yes, yes.
All
Well,
right.
the more Daniel drinks, the louder he gets.
Yep. That accurate. Very accurate.
So, and then what else did I want to say? Um, now I don't. Now I don't know. All right,
So
screw it.
this barrel bourbon is actually
Yeah.
kind of growing on me. I think
Well,
I
I
might.
told you that's what. So at the beginning, he's going, "Oh, you're pouring already." I'm like, "Well, that's because I was told to let this one rest a little bit."
Well, I've never had a bourbon where somebody told me to let it rest. It's
Yeah,
interesting. So yeah. Well,
it's definitely opening up. The burn is less on. Well, you know what? That's interesting though. Hold on. So the burn, I had less of a burn on this one, and it's the higher proof.
is it? I
Yeah,
thought the other one was a higher
this
proof.
is higher proof.
Yeah.
This is the one in here.
Yeah. I don't know. All right. Well, our topic from last week that we announced was best friends, and this could be from anything. Could be movies, TV, history, literature, whatever you want. Um, just, I thought it was an interesting topic, mainly because I was reading, and I guess it's going to give my first one away. I was rereading Lord of the Rings. I read that in The Hobbit um, at least once a year, so it's one of my favorite stories. I guess it's broken into two or four stories depending on how you look at it. But to me, it's just one big overarching story, and I guess Tolkien's work is mostly that. It's kind of
Yeah.
like just a big universe where he
Oh
tells
yeah, yeah.
stories. But I my best friendship was definitely Frodo and Sam, or Samwise Gamgee from the Lord of the Rings, because Sam, possibly more so than Frodo, although I don't know that Frodo was unappreciative. I feel like Sam really is the ideal of the loyal friend to the end. Um, Even though he was terrified and at times was threatened that he would have to go on the journey, and I'm probably going to give away a lot of things from stories and things in this episode. So
Dude, dude, it's it's over like 50 years old. I think we're good. I
yeah,
think
if
you
you
can
haven't
tell.
if you haven't heard or seen this story, you
Yeah,
you you,
you're
you made a
you're good.
choice. But yeah, so like they, the whole thing is that they've got this ring that's dangerous and could, basically destroy the world. And in order to destroy it, which is the only viable answer, they have to take it into the realm of uh, the evil Sauron in Mordor, and destroy it in this mountain. And it's a perilous journey. And Sam sets out with Frodo on this journey because Gandalf kind of says, you're going. And Sam wasn't unwilling, but at one point he gets told he's not going, and he says, "No, no, I'm going." And some very powerful people try to discourage him throughout, and he is steadfast throughout. At one point, Frodo says to him, "It would be the death of you to come with me, Sam, and I could not have borne that." And Sam says, "Not as certain as being left behind." And Frodo says, "But I am going to Mordor." And Sam says, "I know that well enough, Mr. Frodo. Of course you are. I'm coming with you." And like, to me, when you've got that friend that will like absolutely go into basically hell for you and with you, even though it's not their journey to bear, uh, you know, that's friendship to me. So that one is a big one. And throughout like that journey, especially toward the end, Sam carries Frodo's burdens, defends Frodo, and even at one point when Frodo can't go on anymore because he's carrying this heavy burden of the ring, um, Sam Gamgee is like, "You know what? I will carry both of you." He says this is near Mount Doom. They're approaching Mount Doom. So they're almost to the end, and they haven't eaten. There's no water. Everything's just horrible. He says, "Come, Mister Frodo. I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you, and it as well. So up you get. Come on, Mister Frodo, dear. Sam will give you a ride. Just tell him where to go, and he'll go." And it's kind of, to me, it's cool, like, because he's willing to almost be led blindly on this journey at this point, because in defense and care for his friend. So I just I love that story. I love that friendship. And even at the very end, there's this whole scene where Sam's like settled down. He's got a wife, he's got kids, he's got all these things, and um Frodo is going off. He's sailing off into the sunset more or less. And Sam's like, "But I wait, but I can't go with you. Like I don't." And like it's he's crying. It's this whole like departure. And I don't know. Like I said, one of my favorite friendships, probably my favorite friendship of all time. And
Really, I thought my friendship was your favorite, but that's
well, Brad, I
okay.
specifically said we couldn't talk about our friendship because it is the greatest of all
Oh,
time. I mean, it's not even a discussion point. It would be a very short episode if we brought that in. Okay, hubby, it's your turn.
you know what? So since you said that, I'm one that I researched a little bit found uh J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis,
Yeah.
which I was surprised to find that out. So they actually met at Oxford, and based on based on the writings and such, you would have thought that Lewis had converted uh, Tolkien to more conventional Christianity, but it was actually the other way around. Um,
Okay, I didn't realize that.
so yeah, so they had a group called the Inklings, which basically it was a group of Christian friends who met to read and discuss their works in progress. So um, Tolkien found encouragement and support in Lewis, who was his only audience for a long time. Um, so Lewis's interest and eagerness for more helped Tolkien bring The Lord of the Rings to completion. But it was, I think it's obvious to a lot of people that the the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is often seen as um, the testament to Christianity.
Yeah, I've read those books, the whole Chronicles of Narnia, and I see that, and I do. I There's definitely a lot of allegory that's going on there. and they were actually on my list as well. So I'm glad we both found them. Um, but I will say, as you get further into the stories beyond the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, I mean, yes, the allegory continues, and you do get those larger messages, but it's not. I never felt like it was that deep into Christianity.
Oh,
Although
it was
there
never
there was
in
a
your.
lot of symbolism,
It was
but
never in your face.
yeah,
I,
um,
I mean, I read that when I was I think I was probably in third grade.
yeah. Now, C.S. Lewis was a very, very religious and spiritual man. Actually, a lot of his books were around his Christianity and his Christian faith, and they're very interesting. Even if you're not a Christian, they're interesting philosophical treatises, and that's actually one of the things that they found in one another, was that love of philosophy and those ideas. They both loved that storytelling, and they had common academic interests. So I did find interesting. I guess I always assumed, I didn't know they both went to Oxford, but I always assumed that they were both sort of literature people.
Well, it's not that they both attended
They
Oxford.
worked there.
They worked there.
Yeah.
Right.
But I just always assumed they were both sort of like literary people. But it turns
Right.
out that Tolkien was actually more into linguistics. And when I found that, I started thinking about his books and went, yeah,
Yeah, he
like created
languages.
languages. Like, yeah, I mean, it was interesting how his world building worked out.
It's funny. It's like I fully believe that had he been involved, with Star Trek, he would have been writing Klingon and
Yeah.
Romulan and.
But like they had a lot in common. They apparently had both fought in World War I, so they were able to bond over that and discuss that. Um, they, if I remember correctly, both lost their parents at a young age, so they were able to bond over that. So like it was one of those almost like destiny things that they would meet, and it's really cool to see some of the common threads when you read their masterpieces, if you will. Um, so yeah, that's good, fun.
All right. What's on yours next?
So I had next on my list, and this is a pairing that I feel like it's been reimagined so many times since the original, but always there's this thread of uh, love and friendship that's there. And I chose Sherlock Holmes and John Watson
Okay.
because, in spite of their differences, they are very different characters. Sherlock is very cold. He actually speaks out against like emotion and friendship and those kind of things. Um, Watson is definitely more like the loyal servant friend, that kind of follows Sherlock around. He gets married. He's all these. He's pretty much everything that Sherlock is not. But I think that when you read the stories, and especially when you watch the cinematic imaginings of the stories, you always get this sense that while Sherlock can't articulate it, and it manifests itself in really strange ways, there is a love for Watson that can't be denied. And I don't. There've been arguments made that it was like a homosexual love, but like it doesn't come across that way to me. And I think the arguments are kind of weak when you look at that. I mean, but there's definitely that loving kindness, friendship that's there, and obviously Watson is just the loyal friend to the bitter end, no matter what. I think he faints at one point when he thinks Sherlock is dead. I mean, there's a lot that goes on, and like some of the latest with Bumper Cumber Cumberbatch.
Oh, Cumberbatch. Yeah.
Yeah, the latest one. Like, I mean, Watson like gets angry at him when he fakes his death. It's all this. Sorry if I ruined that one for anyone. Yeah, I'm knocking that one out of the park. But no, I think it's like definitely one of my favorite friendships. I think that one more because of their differences and how they become such close friends and bond, in spite of those differences.
Next, I've got Damon and Affleck.
Okay, I don't know much about this one, so you're on your own. I
You
mean,
know,
I know like they've been in movies together, but I didn't know.
so
I don't know how.
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck grew up with each other. Matt, I think he's
Okay.
2 years older. Um, but they they wrote together Goodwill Hunting.
Okay, I didn't know that either.
They wrote that together, and that's what really launched their careers. And they've they've been in multiple movies together. Um,
I thought it was Dogma that really got
no, although Dogma is a
him going.
fantastic
Yes.
movie, uh, but they've been multiple things. They've supported each other throughout the way, both professionally and personally. I mean, we know that Affleck has had several different high-profile marriages, relationships, and has had issues, but Matt has been there along the whole way to support him and just be there for him when he needed it.
Yeah. I mean, when you see their chemistry on screen, it's hard to imagine them not being close. But I guess I just never really knew beyond the screen like that they were actually friends. I mean, they do a great job, and you can see it if but an actor is an actor, and you
Yeah,
could
but
paint.
well, I mean, you can also see in several movies, uh, Ben's younger brother Casey is
Yeah,
also in
yeah,
movies. Casey Affleck.
yeah. I didn't realize they grew up together. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
they've known each other since they were 10 and 8.
Is Dogma the only Kevin Smith movie they were in?
No,
I feel like they were in what, Chasing Amy?
uh, no. Uh, Affleck was in Chasing Amy. He was one of the leads in Chasing
Yeah,
Amy. They were in um, my God,
Jay and Silent Bob Strike
Jade and
Back.
Silent Bob Strike Back, because they did that Goodwill Hunting
Yeah,
skit.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
Yeah. All right.
they
Well,
did
cool.
that. I mean, Affleck has been in many Kevin Smith movies. He was in Mallrats.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I guess Matt Damon wasn't in it as many,
no,
but yeah. All right. Well, I didn't know that. Learned something new. All
there
right.
you go.
My next one is a little obscure. I think the movie was made in the 90s. There's a movie called The First Wives Club, and I think they made like a TV redo of it not too long ago.
Oh, that's with that um, Diane
Yeah, it's got Diane Keaton in it,
Diane Keaton.
Goldie Hawn's in it, Bette Midler. There's actually a lot of pretty well-known actors and actresses in it. Um, I really loved the movie. I remember watching it with my dad. My dad liked that kind of movie, and it's basically the story of these friends who have all grown apart. There's four of them. Stockard Channing is the fourth friend, and one of them commits suicide. So they all get together at the funeral, and there's the whole like recapturing of the friendship that results in a lot of fun antics and excitement. And I'm gonna intentionally try not to ruin this movie because it's just a
Dude, it's an old movie. It's okay.
you know what I mean.
It's an
All
old
right, fine.
movie.
So basically, these all of these women are dealing with ex-husbands or soon to be ex-husbands, and the ex-husbands are terrible. Like they're just awful people, and they're just not good for any variety of reasons. So they basically band together and take the ex-husbands for everything they have, and then they form a sort of a like a support group for women who are struggling because the friend had actually killed herself. So it's a really uplifting movie. It's lots of fun. These are some iconic actresses that are doing this. And what I love most about it is over the years I've done some like I've had like moments where I just had lots of like shallow friends and maybe one or two really good friends that I didn't spend much time to didn't with and didn't devote much time to, and I've pared that down where I have just a handful of friends. And at least two of those good friends that I still have around and keep around and stay in touch with, we lost touch for 10 plus years. We might have exchanged the occasional message, the hey, how's it going? But that was it. And now we're, within a week of really connecting again, we, it was like was like we were never apart. And I think that's a good sign of a good friendship is like when you can meet up after not having spoken to them, and it's like it's like it was like last week instead of 10 years ago. So that's one of the things I loved about that movie was them getting back together and supporting each other through like really difficult times in spite of the time that and like they loathed each other at the beginning of the movie. So all right, you're up, Brad.
Well, all right. My next one is two friends that grew up with each other in San Dimas, California. They went to school together. They formed their own band called Wild Stallions. I am talking, of course, about uh, Bill S. Preston Esquire and Ted Theodore Logan from Bill and Ted.
I have a really sad admission here. Like while I know who you're talking about, and
You've never seen it?
I've never seen that whole movie.
Oh my God!
Like I've seen snips, and I like I didn't hate it, but
It's the and their whole motto is be excellent to each other.
yeah, it's a good motto. It's a
No
great
matter
motto.
what they get into, they're there for each other.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like I said,
You need to
there's
watch
no
that.
reason I haven't seen the whole
We
thing
need
other
to
than like,
just sit down one day and just watch the movie.
yeah. All right.
Yeah, actually,
We could live stream
watch.
ourselves watching it and making comments.
Yeah, we could watch all the movies. I mean, and of course George Carlin is in.
I did know that.
Yeah.
I did know that. So yeah. Now, like I
All
said,
right.
when I was like looking, I saw them and I was like, yeah, like they came into my mind as really good friends, but I don't really have much to say about
I know.
it.
It's okay.
It's just one of those things.
It's okay, sweetie.
So another one, and this was kind of like a mail it in, but
Yeah.
it popped into my mind just because.
Is it Dorothy and Rose?
Well, actually, the Golden Girls, just as a group, are all on
Right.
my list.
Okay.
But that's for later. But I went with Maverick and Goose from Top Gun.
Okay. I saw
And
that one. I chose not to pick it.
and to me, this one was a big one because I remember when I was younger watching this movie, and it was just such a good movie, and still to this day, like I mean, don't get me wrong, Maverick was a pretty good movie, not as good as Top Gun. And you never got that "You've Lost That Love and Feeling" song. Like any guy that will embarrass the shit out of themselves while being your wingman to help you get a girl, like that's your boy.
I think Maverick is as good of a movie as it is because of the original.
Yes,
Alone,
it would not have.
Wouldn't be a standalone.
Absolutely. But I just when everyone cries, and if you haven't seen this movie, shame on you. Everyone cries when Goose dies. Like everyone. And Maverick just was crushed and destroyed.
I don't have emotions.
All right, Sherlock. So, but yeah, like I said, Maverick and Goose. I think like they, even though technically they weren't wingmen, in the literal sense, they are kind of the icons of like how to be a wingman in my mind. And like just yeah, I think definitely think they made my best friendships list.
I had as well. Not that I have a lot to say because I'm not really the history buff, but Thomas Jefferson and John Adams.
Yeah, they were on my list. I actually struggled to come up with like historical things. I had to research that one. I was surprised, but not that surprised by
Yeah.
that one.
Well, it's one of those things where they had differing political beliefs, but it goes to show that even if you have different beliefs, that you can still get together for the betterment of like our nation.
Yeah, and and I'm gonna say one thing, and it's not really political, but I do think it's worth noting is what made them great was you had the idealist and you had this guy who was very practical, and because they differed in their opinions, the thread that kept them together was they had this core value and this belief in something, namely democracy and its value, that could bring them together. They didn't agree on how to get there, but they agreed that the outcome was important.
And part of it as well is that their wives became close, and so their families became kind of enmeshed. And so, as it is noted that Adams and his wife Abigail offered comfort to Jefferson when his wife Martha passed in 1782.
Yeah, and their friendship lasted like 50 years. It was not a short friendship.
Yeah.
It was a long friendship, and they carried on the I think it was Jefferson died first, if I remember correctly, and kind of left his legacy and said, "Hey, carry this on. Like, don't let this die." And I think that's it's easy to say I'm really good friends with someone, but like if someone had a legacy and a mission, um, would you carry that on for them? I mean, it's a good question. What would where would your friendship end? Would it go beyond their death? And I thought that was pretty cool about their friendship.
What else you got?
Um, Another one I found that I was a little surprised by, from history, Mark Twain and Nikola Tesla were actually apparently quite good friends.
I think I remember something about that a long time ago.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming, but it was kind of cool when I read about it. Apparently, when Tesla at one point had cholera, and while he was recovering, read Twain's books, and Mark Twain was always fascinated by the technology that Tesla worked on and things, and in the 1890s they finally met and they become really good friends. Um, there's not a lot to say. I thought it was just really cool that they became friends, and I read this story and I was like, I gotta include this. So, one famous account tells of Twain's participation in an experiment involving an electromechanical oscillator, which Tesla believed might be therapeutic. But when Twain sat on the vibrating plate, it served as something of a laxative, forcing the acclaimed author to run for the bathroom.
Oh my god.
So yeah, apparently Mark Twain like would hang out at Tesla's lab, and they would like do experiments and stuff
Great.
together. So
Great.
I thought that was a fun one. I not a lot to say there. I love Twain's writing. I know a little bit about Tesla, but not enough to speak.
I'm gonna rattle off a few different ones.
Okay.
Patsy and Adina.
I had that too. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely fabulous. That was great.
Joey and Chandler.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I mean,
yeah, from
when
Friends.
they could do an entire episode with them just sitting down in their chairs the entire time.
Yeah, they did a good job playing off of one another. Yeah, that's a good one.
Lucy and Ethel.
Okay, yeah, they came up. I remember watching Nick at Night back in the day, like when it was all black and white.
I used to watch that show all the time when I was younger. Shaggy and Scooby.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then I also have Tina Fey and Amy Poehler.
Okay, all right. Yeah, like I mean, I know they've been good friends.
They've known each other for over 30 years from Second City.
Okay,
So
yeah,
they did improv. That's why they're so good together, because when you're doing improv with each other, you kind of get the flow.
So I had a good one that I think is like a from the series. Which do you think is the better friendship? C3PO and R2D2, or Han and Chewie?
I'd have to say Han and Chewie. Because R2D2 would say fuck off to C3PO. I think R2D2.
But you tell me to fuck off all the time.
Yeah, but R2D2 would just go and leave. But you've got Han and Chewie. I don't know how Han understands what Chewie's saying, but he does.
Yeah, that's true.
And he does. It's not like he speaks the language. He just feels them,
And he can even like anticipate the like to other people. He's like, yeah, like if you win, he's gonna rip your arms off. Yeah,
But
like I said, I actually asked the question like, can a droid even have like, do they actually feel like it? So I don't know. I don't know if they can have friendships, but like
well,
they definitely are friendly-ish.
do androids dream of electric sheep?
Exactly, exactly. But yeah, like I actually do think C-3PO and R2-D2 were friends. I mean, C-3PO seemed genuinely upset when R2-D2 like goes to sleep at one point because Luke's missing.
No, I mean C-3PO is obviously the better friend.
Yes, without a doubt. But I think R2 is like loyal. Although I think R2 may be just more committed to Luke. And maybe
I
that's
think I think between us, you would be C-3PO and I would be R2-D2.
I mean, you are a little shorter and beep a lot.
I do.
You do a lot of beep booping. So all right, Brad, what else you got?
That's it for friends.
Okay, so one that I think was notable that I definitely want to include because it's possibly one of my favorite shows from the last 10 years and I think it was really well done across the board was Grace and Frankie was a Netflix show, I believe.
Okay.
And
Oh yeah,
with
yeah, yeah. Lily Tomlin.
yeah, Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. And basically the premise of the show, and I'm not ruining anything here, is at the beginning of the show, their husbands, they've been friends. The
Mm.
couples have been friends, and their husbands leave both of them for one another. So it's a fun. There's a lot of it's just a really fun story. There's a lot of emotion, and it's easy like if you haven't watched some of the older shows that the two of those were in. And actually the husband's actors are famous as well. But Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin were definitely the stars. But it's a beautiful story and it really shows how friendships can go up and down. It's got lots of complex storylines. There are kids involved that are adults obviously, but yeah, good story. Grace and Frankie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it.
Do it. Do
Uh,
it.
the only other notable mention I mentioned Golden Girls were on my list.
Abbott and Costello.
I had SpongeBob and Patrick.
I thought about that, and then
I went through a phase in my 20s where like I was just crazy about SpongeBob, and SpongeBob had been around for a while then. But I don't know. Anytime I was just not feeling something or just in a mood, you turn on SpongeBob and Patrick, and their antics are it's just stupid. It's like watching Beavis and Butthead, but without like some of the I don't know adult overtones.
yeah,
Although SpongeBob's got its own little thing, it's just a little more subtle.
this is really good now.
All right, I've been doing this Cask de Brazil, and I really like it. So
I do like that, but this just gets better and better.
I agree. This one I was kind of surprised when you said you needed to open this one and pour it early, but I will agree that Barrel Bourbon with two L's. Um, if you try it, I definitely stand by. Open it, pour it, let it sit for maybe 20 minutes,
Yeah,
and
and the I just can't say good enough things about Gaspers. I mean, the guy there is willing to take his time, and the selection they have is amazing.
yeah, and like if you're in the Tampa Bay area, whether you're visiting or live here, there is a Gasper's Grotto, and I don't know if it's related or not. Obviously,
No, it is.
Gasparilla.
It's part.
Okay,
It's
well, the Grotto is down in Ybor.
oh okay.
But
Yeah,
I know that obviously Gasparilla is the festival here that's big, but Gasper's has been around for like 50
yeah.
years or something crazy like that. And it's not near downtown. It's kind of on the outskirts. But yeah, it's an amazing selection and the staff is super knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Just unbelievably knowledgeable. And the bar inside is actually pretty nice.
I didn't go in the bar.
Oh, Lord. I've been in the bar. It's great.
Yeah.
I highly recommend. And the bartenders there are very knowledgeable. Like if you start talking about what you like in whiskey, they will recommend things just as readily as the people in the liquor store. So yeah, if you're here in Tampa, if you ever make it through, it's weird to stop at a liquor store as an attraction, but this one I think is worth it.
There you go. I think it would be.
All right.
All right.
Well,
I found something on Reddit.
Ooh, Brad found something on Reddit.
All right, so this is not from the "Am I the asshole?" And to be clear, you said that it's not always "Am I the asshole?" It's something interesting that I find on Reddit.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so this one is from the Bumble uh, Reddit
What is
subreddit.
Bumble?
Bumble, it's a dating app.
Oh, okay. It's like
So
Grinder.
uh, I don't know what apps you're using. All right, so this one that they're looking for advice. Um, so this is background. He said he recently joined a dating app after taking time to heal from a 5-year relationship that ended in 2024. He casually dated a few people in between, but didn't feel any real connection until now. He met a woman through the app who also came out of a 5-year relationship 3 years ago. She's been dating on and off, casually and seriously, but hadn't found someone right for a long term relationship. He's 32 and she's 31. They connected quickly. From the first date, the spark was real. In a short time, they've been on multiple dates, traveled together, cooked for each other, watched movies, and been physically intimate. They both feel emotionally ready to be in a relationship. Now, here's where the conflict comes in. After our fourth date, she told me she had recently met up with one of her exes. That caught me off guard. Then she shared that she's still in touch with all three of her exes, including the one she was with for 5 years. That was a shock for me. Personally, I come from a mindset where once a romantic relationship ends, so does contact. I see that as a healthy boundary. So my first instinct was to walk away. I saw it as a red flag and a sign of a deeper incompatibility. But to her credit, she was incredibly honest and transparent about everything. She didn't hide it. She was open and mature throughout our long conversation. She calmly explained that once she's done with someone romantically, she's fully done, but she doesn't believe in cutting people out of her life. That's just who she is. She also told me that she felt hurt by how quickly I reacted. She felt I didn't give her space to express herself before I started making a decision. She admitted she's not perfect, but hoped to be understood rather than judged for this one part of her life. And this is where he's at. We spent 6 to 7 hours talking through this. She remained honest, calm, and clear the entire time, never defensive or angry. That emotional maturity stood out to me. I want to be clear, this isn't about trust. I trust her completely. The concern is more internal. I know this topic, staying in touch with exes, makes me uncomfortable. Not because of anything she's done wrong, but because of how I'm emotionally wired. I worry that this difference might create problems in the future, not due to her actions, but due to her own internal struggle. I'm going to skip a little bit here. Um, so he's basically asking, if you were in my shoes, what would you do? Would you stay and try to grow through this difference because the person is generally worth it? Or would you step away to protect your emotional peace before deeper feelings and possible pain get involved? Um, I'm of the like that I think he's been hurt. I think maybe he has been cheated on. Um, but I think that if a breakup is amicable, there's no reason why you can't still be friends.
Yes and no. So I've seen this happen personally from a lot of angles, both like where I was the person who got broke up with, where I was the person who did the breaking up, where I was the person who was entering the new relationship and the other person had an issue. I've been the other person who had the issue. Like I've been on a lot of sides of this. And Jamie and I, when we met, had stayed in touch with a lot of girls that I had dated, or just had a fling with or whatever. And I think that her feelings on the topic were valid. Like you said, if you've been hurt, it's not that your feelings are invalid to feel that way. It's not that you're immature or anything like that. I mean, if you've been stabbed in the back by the guy who was like, "Oh, she's just a friend. We used to date, but now she's just a friend." Um, it's
You say she's just a friend.
right. You say she's just a friend. Um, but I will say it is possible to stay friends. But I do think that a lot of guys, especially younger guys, and I can only speak from the guy's perspective. I can't really speak well from the girl's perspective. But a lot of guys aren't entirely conscious of the why. Why are you staying friends with this person? And don't really ponder it. And I think that when I met Jamie, I was kind of I'll stay friends with all of them. And Jamie's concerns made me question why am I maintaining this friendship? Like, it's one thing to be polite and friendly to this person, but why do I feel that there is value in maintaining this friendship? And what I arrived at was not like that I was in love with this person anymore or that there was a longing, but it was, for some of them, it was a very like, well, I mean, they're fine enough, and if I saw them out, I wouldn't be mean, but like, we're not friends. It's just I felt the need to be friends with everybody, and it was difficult for me to break that off. But I did have a friend who I thought was just a good friend, and we stayed in touch, and we were friends, and we would talk, and it was just very like non. There was no romantic. But then one day I got a message that was really like highly inappropriate from this girl. And Jamie and I had been together for a long time. We're married at the time, and I immediately just responded, "Hey, you know, I have been your friend for a long time, and I know we had a thing back in the day, but this is really inappropriate, and I don't feel comfortable continuing this." Like, I had to say, like, "Look, I this has to stop. Like, I'm done."
Do I know this person?
No,
Okay,
but I
good.
had to block them. I
Wow.
blocked them, and I think that
I th- I think that if it's in in s- there's cases where it's amicable, you're both very clear on what's going on. Um, that I think she probably has other issues.
yeah, and I just that's the challenge is you have to decide what's important to you. Yeah, it's great, and I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's inappropriate, but if it's more important to you to feel that security, then even if it means breaking off that relationship with someone you might have a good future with, you have to decide what am I willing to lose?
I
And
I think with him, the key thing is to have the discussion with her on why does she value those friendships.
yeah, it's worth asking.
You know,
It's a scary conversation for sure.
absolutely, because I don't want ever to have someone tell me who I can and can't be friends with.
Same.
But obviously, if I was put in a situation like you were in, that's a clear cut.
Yeah, the challenge is like, and I feel actually no, I was gonna say that I feel like women go through this a lot more, but I don't think it's just women. I think women just display it differently. Um, there is a sense of competition with people um, in relationships, and often people aren't upfront about their intentions. So I can see why a person, male or female, might say, "Look, I get it. You and this person both believe that you were just good friends. And yes, you had a relationship, but it's over and you were just good friends. But, we've all seen that turn into, oh, we were just out drinking, having beers and wild
Right.
night, and there's a legitimate fear there. I think the key is open communication about it and asking again, like you said, asking yourself and the other person, what does this friendship give you? And stay in touch. Like, how's so and so doing? Because even if you have that fear, just knowing, oh, I haven't talked to them in 6 months, or yeah, I talked to them last week. Their wife is doing great. Whatever it is can help relieve some of that. But when Brene Brown is a famous psychiatrist or psychologist or something, and she has a thing, and she's like, when we don't have information or knowledge, we kind of fill in um, the gaps with our beliefs and our fears. So this guy obviously has a belief that this is a risky thing, and he has a fear because he's had some past experiences. And yeah, like you gotta fill that gap in with knowledge, or you're just gonna make yourself crazy.
You can always take some hints from Stephen King.
Just kill her.
No, tie her to the bed, break the ankles. No, she ain't going anywhere.
That was dark.
And moving on.
Moving on.
Uh,
How do we end this show, Brad?
so the topic.
Oh, topic. Yeah.
So the topic for the next episode, uh, tips on time travel. What do's and don'ts.
Yeah, I think that's a good one, Brad.
Yes.
Like,
Thank you. Thank you for the idea.
It's a great topic, Brad. We should go with that.
Yeah, do's and don'ts of time travel.
Yeah, I think that'll be a lot of fun. I think we'll have some
yeah,
good references.
Yes.
And
do you kill baby Hitler?
Yeah. I actually bring that topic up a lot and have that discussion with people a lot. And it's always interesting that the responses you get and the discussion that can follow if you pursue it.
Yeah. So, but that's until next
You'll have to come back and join us next week. So, Brad, I have some thoughts I'd like to share.
Uh-oh.
And this is just really just because I love that someone might listen to this one day. And I want to say this because about 2 weeks ago, I just hit a low point. Like I was just in a funk mentally. And luckily I've seen it enough and I kind of know my red flags because I'm a very thoughtful person about my own actions. And I said, whoa. You got to do something. You have to take some action here. And I started by, again, reaching out to a therapist and saying, hey, I got to get in to see somebody. Let's do it right away. Obviously, that takes a little time. So there was a gap. And I took the time to start doing some work on my personal values and the things that I'm doing and how they meet those values. And just started doing some of the work that I know I should do, but I don't always remember to do. So I just wanted to take a moment to say, like, if you are out there and you have those moments where you're just feeling hopeless or lost or confused or just wish you had somebody to talk to that wasn't going to be judgy.
Short and Jewish.
Yeah. That was just detached. Somebody that was a third party that was neutral. I cannot recommend the value enough of a therapist or a life coach, a good one, a licensed one, a certified one, not just somebody who puts it out there.
Not someone you meet at the bar.
Yeah, but like there are a lot of people who are mental health coaches, and that is a real thing, and it's very valuable. It's a good system of helping you unravel what's bothering you. They don't solve your problems. You have to do that, and they will give you homework, and it's hard work, but it's very worthwhile. And I just want to say, if you're feeling those moments, no matter what the severity, reach out to somebody. Find a way to do it. There are plenty of resources out there. The one I recommend is Lyra Health. That's my company. They pay for it, but I'm sure there are options that are similar. So mental health coaching, therapy, whatever you need, highly recommend it.
Yes.
Okay. Any final thoughts you'd like to share, Brad?
This is my mental health.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. That was a lot of fun. I think I was a little worried the topic would be a little dull, but I think we had fun with it.
I think next one's going to be even better.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of ideas for that one. But please check us out. We are on Apple and Spotify podcasts as Wine, Whiskey, and Words. Please share it with your friends. If you're out and about, just say, hey, heard these guys. They're really annoying. I'm sorry, they're really good. And
YouTube as well.
Yeah, we are on YouTube as Wine, Whiskey, and Words as well. If you want to email us, our email is winewhiskeyandword@gmail.com because some rando took the other one. And our website is winewhiskeyandwords.com. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we look forward to sharing the next one with you.
We're on Instagram and Facebook.
Oh yeah, that's Brad's realm. I'm not.
We're not on Twitter because Daniel won't let me be on Twitter.
I mean, if we were on Twitter, I wouldn't know either way. But yeah, I'm just not a fan.
It is what it is. All right.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Gotta find the stop button.